Hello, welcome. In this video, we are going to try and answer two questions about cells. Question number one is, what things does a cell need to survive? What do cells need to survive? And number two, how do these things go in or out of the cell? Okay, these are the two questions we are going to try and understand. So, what things does a cell need to survive? By the way, this is survive in Thai. Okay. There are many things that cells need to survive. Example, water. Cells need water. They need oxygen, carbon dioxide, glucose or sugar, salt, proteins, and many more. Now, some of these things are very small, and the cell can move these small things without using energy. The cell uses no energy because the things are very small, like oxygen or water. And we call that as passive transport. So passive transport, the cell does not use energy because the things are very small. But sometimes the things are very big, like proteins. Okay, and the cell needs energy to move the big things inside the cell or outside the cell, and we call that as active transport. So passive transport, the cell doesn't use energy. Active transport, the cell needs energy to move the things. Now let's look at some examples of passive transport. In this video we look at only passive transport. We will not talk about active transport. Okay, so what are some examples of passive transport? The first example is called simple diffusion. Now let's look at this picture on the screen. If you put an egg inside a colored water, after some time, what will you see? So you can see that the egg has turned red. What happened? The color molecules in the water moved from the water into the egg, and the egg turned red. This is called simple diffusion. Now, if this is the egg and these red dots are the color molecule, the red color molecules, what you see is that around the egg we have high concentration of colored molecule around the egg and low concentration of colored molecules, red color molecules inside the egg. So the color molecules will move from high concentration around the egg to low concentration area inside the egg. Okay, so this is high concentration in Thai and low concentration in Thai. This is what example of simple diffusion. And this is how oxygen or carbon dioxide or salt go in or out of the cell. They move from high concentration to low concentration area. And the cell does not need energy to do that. Okay? This is example of simple diffusion. Now let me show you a model, okay, of simple diffusion inside a cell. Example, so this is the cell membrane, and this is outside the cell, and here is inside the cell. Let's say example we have oxygen oxygen molecules, very high concentration of oxygen outside the cell, and there is no oxygen molecules inside the cell. Now when I click the play, what will happen? So here is what outside the cell we have a lot of oxygen molecules. The yellow circles are oxygen molecules and they're very high concentration. Inside the cell there is low concentration, no oxygen, so it's 0. When I click play, I want you to watch what happens. Oh, what do we see? The oxygen molecules move from high concentration area to low concentration area, example, or from outside the cell to inside the cell. And after some time, the oxygen molecules outside and inside the cell will be what? The same level, as you can see in this picture. Okay, after some time they'll be the same. This is what? Diffusion. Let's look at it one more time. Okay, let me change. I'll use carbon dioxide now. Let's go low concentration, and then let's choose high concentration. So we have a lot of carbon dioxide inside the cell and a few carbon dioxide molecules outside the cell. Let's see what happens. Okay, we see that the carbon dioxide molecules move from inside to outside, and after some time they will be the same concentration. Okay, let's go on to the PowerPoint. Okay, so let's look at some example of simple diffusion around us. Number one is when you use the perfume. Okay, the perfume molecules will move from high concentration around here to low concentration in the room. Okay, from here to all around the room. And example 2, when you make tea or coffee, when you put the tea bag in the water, the tea molecules will move from the tea bag to inside the water. This is also example of simple diffusion. Now let's look at another example. Water. How does water go in or out of cells? So we all know that if you put water in the soil, the water is going to move into the plant from the root and into the plant. But what is going on? So let's look at this picture. Around the root cells there is a lot of water. There is high concentration of water. And inside the cells there is low concentration of water molecules. So what happens? The water molecules will move from high concentration to low concentration area, okay, inside the cell. Again, the water molecules outside, we have more water. Inside the cell we have less water. So water will move from the area with more water to the area with less water. Now this is called osmosis. Again, what is that? Osmosis. And here is a model to show you that. It is when water molecules move from an area with high water concentration to an area with low water concentration. And they move through the cell membrane. Okay, a membrane. This is the cell membrane, the yellow color. So here we can see the water molecules moving from outside to inside, from more water area to less water area. Okay, so let's conclude. What have we learned in this video? We've learned that the cell needs some things to survive, example water, oxygen, proteins, and many more. And sometimes the cell needs energy. When the things are big, we call that active transport. Sometimes the cell does not need energy to move the things because the things are very small, like water or oxygen, and we call this as passive transport. And two examples of passive transport are simple diffusion and osmosis. Thank you very much. I hope this is helpful. Goodbye.